often, when I'm asked to review an existing program, I'm asked, what is the one area of business continuity planning that you find missing, or at least not very complete? And every time I get that question, the answer is the same, and that's damage assessment. That is an area that companies don't pay enough attention to, and yet it can extremely affect the length of time your company is out of business before it can resume the critical functions. So let's just take a minute and talk about what the importance is and what the elements are for damage assessment. The number one concern is, do you own the building or are you a tenant in the building? If you own the building, you have a lot more flexibility. You have the ability to arrange for structural engineers in advance who can come out and quickly inspect the building and work with the city engineers in order to red tag or yellow tag or green tag it, whatever the situation is. You can also in advance have layouts of all of the floors with the key elements that need to be checked on each floor, so that if there isn't structural damage, your own damage assessment team or your facilities engineers can go in quickly and within the first hour or two have a very good feel of the extent of damages. However, if you're a tenant in the building, you don't have that luxury. So the important thing is to have a discussion with your property management firm before the event occurs, while you're in the planning stage. Talk to them about what their plans are. I had one client who, when they had that discussion, found out that the structural engineers that the property manager was going to use would have to be flown out from Chicago, and they were here on the West Coast. Well, that in itself meant that they were probably going to be delayed 2 or 3 days before those structural engineers would even get there. So if you have critical functions, or if you have critical equipment that you need to be able to quickly assess and find out what their status is, if you're a tenant, you're going to have to overcome how you're going to do that. So that is one of the elements in your discussion of, is there a way, once the building is safe, for you to have permission to bring in a select 2 or 3 people who can then inspect the critical equipment. These discussions are not something that are going to be put in your contract, but they are discussions that if you have them ahead of time, that property management firm is going to be aware of your needs. Another area to talk to them about is, what other properties do they have? What is their rental rate? Do they typically run a 10% vacancy rate? And if so, what could you set up in advance that you would be one of the first ones that would have access to any available space that that property management firm has? So it's really thinking about it from the standpoint of, what do we need to do to get back into operations quickly, and how can we do the things ahead of time that will reduce that interval?